Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is Jose. He is actually a yoga instructor. He specializes in hot yoga. Super cool guy. He invited me to his house. We actually just did yoga right before. I feel great. Hot yoga. It's like 105 degrees. We did it at Bikram Yoga, Salt Lake City. It felt great. I just want to pick his brain a little more about spirituality and just hot yoga and how it's just beneficial or non-beneficial for you. It's definitely beneficial.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you did great today. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, man.
Having
Thanks, dude. My goal was to make it through the whole hour
Me.
because you would think it's 105 degrees. You're stretching. I was sweating a lot, but it felt good. Like I shaved afterwards. I could just feel my skin, dude. My pores are just so clean. What are like the benefits of doing hot yoga?
Oh man, there's a variety. I would say, so yoga before all things is mental before physical. And so part of the reason why we put you in a pretty uncomfortable environment, 105 degrees, 40% humidity, you're staring yourself in the mirror, there's bright lights going on, right? One of the first things people learn how to do is how to look at themselves in the mirror and be able to be okay with who looks back and like be consciously available for that. And so that's one of the first steps, right, of benefits. You then become more of the meditation where you're using your breath to kind of control yourself in ha poses. You're, bending like a pretzel, but then you're able to, find your exhalation, slow yourself down, and that begins helping you with stress, day-to-day life. And then from the physical side effects, though, it's fantastic. It's yoga is about strengthening and lengthening. It's a balance of strength and flexibility. And so the more you do it, the more you're able to the more you do it, the more you're able to like not only get internally to the body, but it helps heal the knees, the elbows, the joints. It's a great way for active recovery. The heat helps you detox, helps your body sweat and release so many negative toxins, but also it's a spine strengthening pose. And it's a spine strengthening series. And so by really working on, like, for example, cobra pose, your lower spine, and then locust pose, your upper spine, like that's the channel to your life. You know what I mean? That's how you get so much energy. And so by being able to actually, invest in the healing of your spine, breathe into the healing of your spine, that has a variety of benefits too. It started for me as like an active recovery, between like CrossFit and working out, but then now like it introduced me to meditation, introduced me to all different types of yoga from there on.
Nice. Okay, good. I mean, it made me stretch, dude. I had some shoulder pain from work because of holding mouse, but it just made me
Hunched
feel
over?
better. Yeah, with my hand, I just have it like this. They call it a mouse shoulder, but it just feels good, dude. Actually, I feel really good. I know there's a lot of spiritual aspects to yoga and hot yoga. Just tell me a little more about it, bro. How did they start hot yoga?
Oh, well, so, oh man, I'll give a mini history lesson. I don't want to bore anybody, but it's fascinating in my opinion. So yoga, the first time yoga was ever written in the book was in the Bhagavad Gita, or in older Upanishads or older yogic texts that defined a lot of the spiritual structure that you see in India. And so yoga initially was like what they used it as was the word for union between you and God. And so if you look at the first yogic texts, we're talking like the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali, or the Hatha Yoga Paritika, or you look at even the Bhagavad Gita, which is kind of the standard text in many Hindu faiths. Yoga was always more of a spiritual practice where you're sitting, you're meditating, you're in a cross-legged seat, you're breathing, and your goal is to unlock the God within you. And there's a lot of spirituality that goes into that. And then as you progress then through the centuries and generations, soon there is this idea of adding physical asana or practice to moving with yoga. There's this idea of the 8 limbs of yoga, and only one of those limbs is actual physical movement or asana. And so there's 7 other limbs that are more of the spiritual rules, laws, guidelines, like you would in an actual in a faith system. But then fast forward, you go to about the late 1800s, early 1900s. There begins to be more of a physical movement culture that begins to grow. You begin getting things like Surya Namaskar, which is like the sun salutations that you see in Vinyasa or Ashtanga yoga, begin to get more popular in India. You begin to see other forms of yoga become popular. And so where Bikram came from was in Calcutta, India. There was
Calcutta.
Calcutta, yeah.
Nice.
There was a guy named Vishnu Ghosh who was he had this like great gym that was great for health and exercise. And he was also raised as a yogi in these kind of like yogic monasteries for boys. And so people would come in and he'd help them, get better, and he'd give them poses and exercises and all these things. And so from there began because there's different types of yoga, as many different types of yoga as there are like dancing. And so this yoga began almost very similar to what this guy did, which was like a little bit of bodybuilding, a little bit of weightlifting, and he would help somebody come in. Let's say you're old. Oh, what do you dealing with, oh, let me give you like your set prescription of asanas that you need to do. And from there, that expanded a little bit more until you had Bikram, Bikram Chaudhuri, who was the guy who founded this, like the idea of the 26 poses in a hot room. He came to the US back in the 70s, and it kind of blew up from there.
Nice.
But technically, he had these 26 poses, but the poses came from this greater book of poses that came from Vishnu Ghosh, known as the 84 asanas. Bikram just kind of slimmed it down, made a beginner, copied that, and then pushed that out.
Got it. So he brought it in the U.S. in the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And it's been popular. I like it, dude. I don't see, like, my sister's been doing it, and she would come home sweating. I remember a couple of years ago when we used to live together. And she's like, oh, you got to do it. I just did hot yoga. I was like, okay. But that's when I wasn't really spiritual or just didn't really know about it. But now, like, I truly appreciate it. It's good, dude. So there's a 60-minute one and a 90-minute one. We did 60 minutes today. The 90-minute one is a little slower.
Yeah, you do each pose twice. One time to kind of see where your body's at. A second time, you go a little bit deeper. You also get more savasana or rest in between.
Yeah.
When you get to the floor series, because the yoga asanas or the Bikram series, you have the standing series that's more like the warm up to get you ready to then go into the more smaller muscle groups when you're on the floor. And in the 90-minute, you'll do a pose, but then you'll rest for 20 seconds. Then you do a pose. Versus in 60-minute, we had a flow few together a little bit faster.
Dude, I should do more yoga. Well, because I meditated a lot. And most people just think like you just meditate and you're all good. But it's really a mind-body connection that people forget. Because your body's connected to your nervous system, which is connected to your brain and your mind. And it affects it. So you need to have a mind-body connection. Do you agree?
100%. We are more than our bodies,
Yeah, we're a lot more, dude. We were talking about that when we had coffee.
Yeah, man.
A lot more. Hey, do you think we live in a matrix or 3D reality? This is off topic, but
great question. Yes, I do. I believe that there are like parts of reality that you just can't see, that you can sometimes
behind the veil.
Yeah, like you can sometimes get like glimpses of and different experiences in your life, and that could be in a variety of experiences. But there are moments where you see a little bit behind the curtain of this connectivity, this connective energy that exists within us that is super complex with all these different frequencies to it. But how do you tap into that regularly? Oh man, I think we'd go crazy if we could see it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't that what? Since you study yoga, you would know what they call Samadhi.
Oh, that's where like Samadhi is like
where you reach a certain state, like Super Saiyan level.
Yeah, it's like it's where you are fully in line with the universal God and spirit within you. And you have reached this enlightened phase where you're completely in line with this, and you absolve yourself from your identity, and you kind of let go. And it's a very like I see that theme repeated often, throughout history. And so, but yes, like there's that idea of it, and there's moments you can get that in Savasana or in other yoga practices. But end of the day, it's all about like you kind of get so in tune with yourself, and you are able to then recognize the God within you, and at that moment is where you then get to Samadhi, right? You find that have that experience, but it's the great yogis can get there in a second, others take lifetimes, right?
Yeah. Or you could do drugs and get there temporarily, but I don't really recommend that.
No. It's like
because you could get there and come back, but you don't know how to get back there.
No, it becomes it's getting more and more popular, right? The idea of
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
I talked to like Peruvian shamans.
Yeah.
And they hate ayahuasca now, bro, because of what it's become.
Oh, it's a culture. People are going dramatically for that. They want to find all these experiences. And I understand the motivation for it, but like the old shamans of old in Peru, like that was the way that they would communicate with gods,
Yeah.
Like there's these old stories of like the old Inca priests where they would have a painting or an engraving of a wall of a doorway practically, or like an entrance. And they would sit there, they would have whatever they needed to at the time, and then they would go and commune and get wisdom and get guidance. And now you get like what Westerners coming down, hey, I got money, can I go down, I want to do this, and then
they bring shamans to Coachella.
Yeah,
I've heard that, bro. That's like, I don't know if that's the right idea, but I understand the motive, bro. A lot of people just want to find themselves, or they feel like there's something greater than them.
It's a lot of medicine for a lot of people. It helps with depression, anxiety, a lot of things like that, real time, right?
Yeah.
But then there's other folks that like just want to go do ayahuasca in the forest.
Yeah, that too. But I feel like you could get there with just doing a lot of yoga and doing a lot of meditation. You don't really need the medicine, aka drug, whatever you want to call it.
You get into the ice, very similar experience.
Yeah, the ice baths are also awesome.
Yeah, no, seriously, like you do ice baths, breath work, you can find similar spots. It's different avenues to the same way. Because like what these chemicals are doing are like you look at like DMT or ayahuasca, for example, it's just like activating what already exists in your system, what you have the ability to do to dream. And so the question is do you do that synthetically, or are you able to try to generate that naturally, right? And so there's ways to do that, but it's that's why like yogis would go live in mountains for in ashrams for years, right? Trying to find that moment of nirvana. And you go into Himalayan or Tibetan yogis, and what they do is very intense, but that's their goal though, is to get to that moment where they have out of body experiences. They see their past lives. They come back down from hill. They say, "Hey, I saw my past life," and they'll tell you all about them, and then they'll go deeper into the exact same things that you kind of get cheaply with a psychedelic, but they found it in a very different pathway. And sometimes people see things that they don't know how to explain, and it becomes a hard way to integrate that in their life because the work beforehand didn't happen to truly lead to that integration.
That's called the dark night of the soul.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a legit term. Because imagine something happens to you, and you're able to see all these amazing things, and you're not really spiritual. Your friends aren't. You come back and you tell them like, "Hey, dude, I've seen all this crazy stuff," and they're like, "Bro, like you're crazy.
You're crazy.
Like go see a psychiatrist or see a psychologist. Like that's the delusions of grandeur, or whatever they want to call it." So and then you can't really rationalize with that, because deep down inside you've seen it, but no one else has seen it, and they don't understand you. It's called the dark night of the soul. I've met a lot of people that have gone through that.
There's a lot of religious books that talked about experiences and prophets like that ended up. Anyways, that's a whole nother.
No, talk about it, bro. Yeah, go for it.
Like legit. You look at the. So I was raised LDS. I was raised in Latter-day Saint faith. And
I was raised Christian. So
cool. And I no longer practice the faith anymore after some stories, but. In it, there is the example of the first prophet of the Book of Mormon, which is Lehi, which is the story of a guy who is in Jerusalem, and Jerusalem, things are going really great. It's before the Romans invaded, all this stuff, and he has a vision, right, of this cataclysm that Jerusalem's going to get destroyed. So he goes out, has this vision, goes back in, tells everyone, "Hey, we got to get out of here, got to get destroyed." Everyone's like, "You're crazy, we're fine, look at us now." His children are like, "Dad, we're fine, what are you doing?" But, the sons that are faithful, them and him, they all, leave Jerusalem, and then end up coming to the promised land of the Americas, which is the story of the Book of Mormon. But the idea of it was like a prophet who had that experience, but instead of getting dissuaded by the people who say, "Oh, you're crazy," no, this is God, and therefore I have to act on it. And that became the beginning of that entire religious text.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, at least he acted on it, bro. Most people would be too afraid or shy. They might take some, SSRIs. But yeah, that's interesting, man.
Mm-hmm. There is sometimes though, like people who have extreme trips that come back and have like they are like they very much feel like they are the like cure to humanity, like they become like this like Christ-like figure in their own eyes. And so there's sometimes like depending on what happens in the experience and if it was set the right way with the right intention or not, people can come back with pretty intense experiences though, where they stand by it. But that's where you got to be careful. That's where you need a good guide. You need the right people who are properly trained in the right ways to really handle those things, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You could go either way. Was psychedelics?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you heard of people having spiritual experiences while doing yoga?
Yeah, 100%.
Really? Tell me more.
Yeah, like it's like there's our emotional breakthroughs. Like, when I think about like a psychedelic experience, what does that mean? Is that like where you're seeing like a vision? Is that where you're seeing colors? There are people who have had like really deep internal experiences that unlock some of that, and it's always so personal. But like at a surface level, like make it more tangible. I've had people who they do their first backbend for like the first time, and they come back in tears because they have all this energy, all this stress, and we know that there's a lot of
psychosomatic trauma.
Yeah, deep within the body.
Yeah.
And when they finally unlock, they're like, wow. And that for them, they don't know what they're like. I've had somebody come to me crying before, like, why is this normal? Why am I crying? I'm like, well, hey, it's you're okay, you're safe, and that changes the life. You know what I mean? And so. That's a pretty intense experience. Would I call that psychedelic? Probably not, but those are real, and that happens a lot during yoga. There are other types of yoga, though. Like, that's the thing. I do very physical yoga. There's a lot of, like, spiritual. There are people who can go really on the deep end with, like, tantric stuff or bhakti yoga.
What do you mean tantric or bhakti? I don't really know about it too much, so.
Oh, because there's, like, the yoga is the idea of union and of service between you and something. So you could have hatha yoga, which is the yoga of, like, the body, of the physical nature. Bhakti yoga is the yoga of devotion. Tantric yoga has to do more with sexual energy within the body, how you use that to find these same spaces. It's all for the same end goal. You have the yoga of service, you have the yoga of compassion, you have the yoga of a myriad of things. And so asana is, once again, just one small part of it. And so when people get into some of these, I've heard stories, people that have pretty intense
Kundalini yoga?
I'm no pro on Kundalini. I've only done it once before.
But what is it? Do you know the concept of it?
The way I would explain it is that there is a dormant energy that exists within the spine, particularly at the base of the spine.
I've talked about this numerous times. Yeah.
Okay, good.
How yeah. Kundalini breaths. Yeah. So you're not like.
And so the idea of it is, how do you first, number one, engage your pelvic floor to engage the bandhas, to then at that point begin using really conscious breathing to try to channel up the energy and think about focusing up, up and up. And at that point, you can have very intense experiences. Like I've done breath work where I've seen stuff. I've had very experiences of psychedelics versus what you see in breath, which is what you get in Kundalini.
Yeah.
Shockingly similar at times.
Yeah, it's very, very. It's the same chemicals, bro. Your brain has it. It's just being released.
That endorphin
I've seen people, bro, yell at the top of their head and just fall to the floor and just have like a full blown, from what I could see it as the orgasmic experience.
Yeah.
For 45 minutes. And then I asked them, they're like, dude, it was pure love. And they're just crying. They're like, can I hug you? A complete stranger. And I was like, wow, I want to have that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that got me really into breath work, was that I've had moments of like, you can tap into this, but it's free, it's natural, rather than a harsh chemical or something like that. It's that's what I had shocking experiences just breathing. I'm like, what? You can access that?
Do you know what holotropic breathing is?
I've never tried it, but it's like where you inhale through your nose, out through your mouth to try to like get that.
So
feeling, right?
Palouse told me about it. Shout out to Palouse, the ice bath guy. Apparently, it's like 3 hours of breathing. Same concept that you just said, but 3 hours, bro. It sends you over the top. So I looked into it even further. Guess who invented it? The guy at the CIA, who was hired as a scientist, who would work on MK Ultra, who would like dose people with drugs. So check this out. In like the 70s, or like early 80s, they're like, this is completely illegal. So they took it all away from him. He's like, what the hell? He's like, I want it. How am I going to get this feeling back? So he experimented. He's a scientist, and he's like, wait, it's in your head the whole time. If you breathe like that for hours and hours, you get that LSD experience.
I believe it.
Yeah.
It exists within us.
Yeah.
There's a story of Ram Dass, who goes to India, and Ram Dass was a former scientist, one of the guys who helped create LSD. No, not him. He was a psychologist who was really associated with a group of people who did that. And he went to India, had a bunch of acid and like tabs of it. Found the guru who was like helping him along the way. They gave it to the guru. Guru takes like
all of it, right?
All of it.
Like a amount for 30 people.
Yeah. No reaction, no system, because he was in line, and so there's something to that.
There's big time something. I've heard of this story, bro. He goes like, oh yeah, I think like he had a whole like a cup full, and you're only supposed to dab. So he took the whole thing to his head, right? He's like, I don't believe this is going to affect me, and it will not affect me like that, right? Like that concept, he was aligned. That story reminds me of the Beatles. They found a guru also, and they did LSD with them. It's like crazy experiences. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so what else brought you to yoga? Like, what do you like about it? Oh, have you found what do you find other people that enjoy about yoga? Because you're an instructor, you train a lot of people. Like you did me today.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was a group. It was like 8 of us, I think.
Yeah, small class.
Yeah, it was a small class, but still, dude, it was like awesome. Like I've never tried anything like that, and I'm all about like trying new things. Like, what do you find in different people that helps them with hot yoga?
Yeah, end of the day, it improves their life. That's the simplest way to say it. It makes life better. A lot of it is because, so where I work with a lot of physical therapists, and the thing that they repeat all the time is movement is healing. You got to move to heal. A really common misconception is that if you get injured, like say you like twing your shoulder and you really want to stay stiff, you're like, oh, I don't want to move. That's what's going to make the injury worse. You have to get blood flow to that part of the body to really heal it, to get the oxygen where it needs to go. And so like part of the beauty of yoga is that it helps people move in a challenging way, that detox, that engages them completely. And so like there's just that benefit of just moving. That's step one, and the fact that you could do yoga. There's people in my class, like today, there's somebody well over their 70s, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
kicking butt,
bro,
doing
that
his
guy
work.
put me in shame.
He was doing great.
He was doing great.
You can make it accessible, that entire age range, right?
And he was tall. He was over his 70s. He was right next to me. Dude, he was doing it, man. Like, it was my first time doing hot yoga, but this guy, like, I taught him. He's like, oh, yeah, so I've been doing it for years and years. I'm like, how many? He's like, I can't even remember. I was like, wow. I taught him in, like, the shower room. He's like, I just been doing it. He's like, just keep doing it. It's like, it will improve your life. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah,
Movement is healing. The second big reason why is it helps people get out of their head. So it attracts a lot of people with like anxiety or depression or a variety of mental things because you're forced to be present in the room.
Yeah.
Like it is hot. You're looking at yourself, and to teach this Bikram, we specifically cannot make up what we're saying. We have to memorize a dialogue book of 36 pages. It's brutal to learn how to train this because you have to memorize every page of the book. I'll show you. It's
And
like,
you have to
it's
do it
heavy,
too.
and you have to do it.
Oh man.
And so like part of it though is we are as teachers, our goal is to help create a space for people to really face themselves and do something really hard. And because of that, when you're in the room, you are like you're forced to be present because like if you're not staying with the words, and let's say you're moving ahead, man, you're living in the future. If you're behind us, you're living in the past, and so it forces you to be here. And for
in
me,
the present moment.
bingo. And I love that release. I love that
like
moment
that
of
too, bro.
let me like remove myself from my stress of my day, of my work, of whatever's going on. I'm going to go to the hot room. I get out of my head. I'm into my body. I reset. And those mental benefits are priceless in my opinion.
I like it. I like the way you put it. Actually, yeah. Just being in the hot room though puts you more in the zone automatically. You know how when you run like a mile or two, you start getting that runner's high. I feel like you get that like right away because it's like 105 degrees. You said. And yeah, dude, I wasn't thinking about like paying bills, about my road trip, nothing like that, dude. I was just breathing, just being in the center, and I was just looking at myself in the mirror. I wasn't even looking at my body. To tell you the truth, like after like halfway, I was just looking in my eyes, like just like focus, yeah, and just following the instructions. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
What did you like of it?
What I like of it?
Yeah,
that's what I like, dude. Right now, I feel like shockingly like or somehow like I feel very clean. Like that's what I like the most. Not like light, just clean. That's like the one word I would say. Because honestly, like I just sweat my ass off for an hour, bro. It's like literally putting on a jacket and running when it's 80 degrees out. Like for like 6-7 miles. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah,
like clean, bro.
Well, sweat baths are. There's a lot of cultures that have sweat baths.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it in Mexico. It's called Tamascal.
Tamascal?
Yeah.
How was that?
It's amazing. It's very spiritual too. Because the guy that I did it with, like my grandfather taught it to me. And like you're in there, dude. It's like a dome. It's like an Indian sweat lodge, but it's a legit dome of clay. And they bring in hot lava rocks, so they warm it up or they heat it up. They bring it in there. You're in there, dude, for like. And then he has a fan too, and he has water that's he put flavors in there like chamomile or cinnamon, and he puts it on there and he splashes it on you, and he starts blowing the fan, or it's like a fan. Right on you, bro. So the heat hits you within 45 minutes. Dude, you just start sweating your ass off, but you're just sitting there. The one cool thing about your experience was you're doing the poses, so you're actively encouraged to concentrate on your breathing and just be centered. There, I was just like, holy crap, what's going on? Mexico, this, that, Yeah. I don't know if you ever done anything like that.
No, but I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's not even that much, dude. Like, I always encourage people to try new stuff. And apparently it's spiritual, too. Because he told me, I'm going to go back and interview him. He told me there's a spiritual aspect because, like, you just cleanse yourself. Like, when you have all that heat, you just, like, I don't know, like, your pores, and I mean, he did say some stuff in Spanish, and then he's like, thank the Tamascal, thank you, thank the heavens, thank the God, whatever you believe in, and I don't know, there's just something spiritual to it, bro. I feel just blessed that I was there.
Cool.
Yeah, I feel blessed
nice.
I was in your class too, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't get to experience that, or maybe they're afraid.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't know what to expect, It's like trying anything new, and you walk in, it's hot, everyone's moving in synchronicity, and you're like, what the heck is going on? You're looking around you. Apparently everyone else around you, because we repeat the same poses in the same order every time, and so you go to someone like, they've done it, like the guy you're talking to, he's probably done this like 400 times, 500 times.
Probably, bro.
And so like you're new, and you're like, everyone's like in sync, you're like, what the heck is going on? And so there's that. People also don't want to be uncomfortable. And I do believe that there's a lot of strength in embracing being uncomfortable and embracing discomfort through the heat, through the eyes, through, I don't know, in a variety of ways. And so if you embrace that discomfort, you're better for it. But a lot of people, oh man, I got Netflix. I'm going to be chilling. No.
I mean, there's time for Netflix. So I did that last night.
Yeah, Netflix
I was watching The Umbrella Academy. There's this guy, David Goggins. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I love David Goggins.
Yeah, he said, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, I was very uncomfortable. I was sweating my balls off, literally. And I was looking at myself in the mirror, and like a lot of the poses were challenging, but I told myself halfway through, I was like, listen, you got to be bad at something before you get good at it. And then I looked at the guy to my right, he's like 70. The guy to my left, he was like in his 50s, but they were all killing it. And I was like, but if I didn't know better, I would have been like, dude, I'm terrible at this. But I was like, no, I'm just new at it. I taught to both of them after, and they've been doing this for years consistently, and they're getting good at it.
That's
So,
a very good perspective to have. A hard
right.
one to learn.
Yeah. Just get out of your own way. We talked about that earlier. Yeah. Okay. So I was gonna ask you, what advice do you have for people that want to try hot yoga?
Just do it.
Just literally, dude, don't think about it. Just freaking do it.
Yeah, honestly, just do it. Yeah, it's great. It's for everybody. It's beginners, not because it's easy, but because it is because it's going to like be safe. You know, it's accessible to everybody, no matter where you're at. And we can modify things too. Be hydrated. You know, one of the things I love about it is it forces you to drink a lot of water afterwards. You know, and helps reset people who don't have that hydration system or that habit for how they drink water. And so that's why I would say like come to it, stay hydrated, find a good studio. There's always a bunch locally. It's best for it, and I do recommend like if I went my first time then stopped, I wouldn't have known the benefits of it. Like going 2-3 times, especially the third time is what I'd recommend for somebody. Like that's at that point where they kind of start falling to the meditation. They're not wondering what's going on next, looking around. They kind of have an idea of what to expect, and that's where things really begin to click. And so, still not for everybody. Like people sometimes just don't want to sweat, and I respect that. But it's great. So just do it and try it out.
Yeah. I think everyone should do it at least like once, bro. Try it. Like I was awesome. Like halfway through, I really got into the zone. Like I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to tell you the truth, but I was definitely in the zone because it felt like that runner's high.
Yeah.
You know what that is? Like when you go on like a 5-6 mile run, after like 2-3 miles, you get that like nice, like you get a high in your head, and that's how I felt. And I was like, dude, this felt good. Like, but now I just feel clean, man. Like my skin is nice. Oh, I don't know what it is. Let me ask you this question, because you seem very spiritual, and a spiritual journey yourself. Do you think more and more people are like waking up now? Like they're becoming more spiritual, or at least they're figuring out different ways other than medication or just like modern medicine to just better themselves or get out of shitty situation?
Absolutely. I think the pandemic started a lot of that.
Yeah, big time, bro. But it also killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
So they say polarity.
Yeah, it's tragic, like so many people were affected for negative ways, but especially in the height of the pandemic, I put a lot of thought into this because like I decided to become a yoga teacher during the pandemic.
Nice.
It was,
nice.
And it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't forced to be internal,
Yeah.
It was a wave of divine feminine energy is a good way to put it.
Nice.
That I think are leading people to think about this, and not everyone's there for it, but I do believe that there's going to be a lot of changes in the world in the next few years, and I think these things come and happen at the right time. You look at just the implosion of podcasts, content, books all around, these different avenues towards the same thing around recognizing that you can control your destiny. You have you have more than enough internally systems and tools to live the life that you want to live. But for many people, they need somebody to tell them what that is, or they need to stumble upon it like I did, or they need I don't know, they need something. And what I love that I think has been happening recently is more people are willing to look outside the box and look, even more importantly, look inside and ask themselves, okay, who am I? What does this mean? And
people are too afraid to stop to ask themselves that question, dude, sometimes.
That's a hard question to ask.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. You have to embrace your own mortality for a second.
I'm going to ask myself that question for 5 days when I throw myself in that dark room. Yeah, we'll see remember the dark room?
Yeah, have you talked about that already on the show?
Yeah, numerous times, bro. You can talk about whatever you want, bro.
Okay, I just want to make sure, that's worth hitting.
Actually, I'll send you the episode. My friend, Ruth, is the general manager. I interviewed her. The episode's called The Dark Night of the Soul because, dude, you go in there, you come out, you're going to be somebody else.
I believe it.
Yeah, because like everyone has like subconscious thoughts, feelings, things that have happened to you, or you could call them demons or whatever, things from your childhood, and like when you keep yourself busy in life, you tend to ignore those stuff. But when you're staring at a wall for 5 days and there's nothing, those stuff will come up and you have to deal with yourself. And apparently, some people said, because I've listened to this on the podcast, like after day 4, you start having a full-blown like psychedelic experience. Because when your brain doesn't have anything to do to keep you busy, that's when it just like starts like hallucinating. So we'll see what happens, dude.
I believe it.
I'm gonna have an episode by myself and my friend, my imaginary friend Wilson.
Hey everybody, hey, it's me and Wilson over here recording live.
Dude, Castaway.
Our next door neighbor is a psychologist. She's a mental therapist, and she talked to me recently about the value of being bored. because our minds right now, because of, cell phones, all the sensor, things that we can easily be
Yeah.
stimulated by. She's like, it's during boredom that people have some of the best self-realizations out there, and we are losing boredom and the value of
Yeah.
boredom and the value of just sitting there. Like, remember when you're a kid, you'd be bored for hours, but now, man, I wake up, what I'm going to do, look at my phone, we'll look at those notifications, I got a free second, you check it out.
Yeah.
But there's something to say about the value of doing nothing and sitting with yourself. We don't do it enough.
I agree, brother. You should spend more time, get to know yourself better.
5 days is going to be plenty of time for that.
Do you recommend you listen to your body more?
Yeah, absolutely. Your body is here to tell you stuff. Your body's so smart. It has so much going on, and if you're in pain, it's telling you something. If you're hungry, it's telling you something, right? Something feels off, it's telling you something. And so I do believe you do need to listen to your body, but you also need to nurture your body. You have to take responsibility for your body as if it's not your own. And if you do so, you'll feel better. Like yoga, right? It's a great way to move, to
it is,
feel
bro.
healthy, and
I think it's awesome.
it's uncomfortable to do it, right? But your body thanks you for it, and then you get benefits from that.
Yeah, but I just feel like you should do more things that make you uncomfortable in life. Because when you're comfortable, dude, you're half asleep and you're half dead. Because that's why I like traveling more. Because it makes me uncomfortable. Because I'm going into unknown places, bro, across the world that I don't know. I don't know the culture. I don't know the language. But I appreciate it. Because I can't predict what's going to happen. Because you have to be in the moment.
You're developing new neural pathways at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually very true. Let me ask you this. This is the last question. I always ask people this question.
Cool.
Let me put this mic down a little bit before I do.
Thank
you. What do you think people can do just to better themselves? Let's just say they're in shitty situations. They're sad. They're unhappy. Or, they're like in a dead-end job. Or life's not going good, bro. What advice would you have for these people? Palou said just breathe.
Breath work is great. Breath is such a powerful tool. I've had moments in my life where I've had like my bottom moments. We all have ups and downs.
Yeah, we all have.
And the things that help me out the most during them, and I hold on to them because I still am very conscious about it now. Even when things are going great, I gotta.
If you could go back, would you erase those bad moments?
Never.
Good, because it made you a better person. Damn,
Yeah.
I like you more now, bro.
Like in the moment, it sucks, but you look back and you're strong. Like you can't grow in comfort, right?
Yeah, you can't.
So a few things I would give to help for anybody, and this comes from the bottom of my heart. The first one is recognize the power of daily habits and routines. I believe that when you're feeling really low, it's when you're typically like when you're waking up, like is your circadian rhythm. I'm probably saying that wrong. Circadian, thank you. Rhythm is probably wrong, and so just waking up at a good time every day. You wake up rather than looking at your phone. Go open up a book, go get some water, go outside for a walk, and then making sure that throughout the day you're getting outside, you're getting good food, having the water. Like people know the things they want to do, and we're willing. Like if our dog is sick, we'll go night and day to develop the routine to make sure that our dog's okay. But for us ourselves, right, it's hard to do that sometimes. And so like developing habits that you don't want to do that is going to be good for you is really valuable. And it sucks the first time you do it, but like when I was in like a real deep funk by like week 2 of like every day reading and journaling, I noticed that the cloud wasn't lifted, but it was lighter. And then another week and it got lighter, then another week, and the next you're like, what? Where'd the cloud go? And didn't even notice that it's gone. And so those routines make a big difference.
So develop healthy routines.
Yeah. The second one is asking for help. I'm a big flavor of asking for help.
Yeah, bro. Now I do too, bro. Mm-hmm. And I cry too sometimes at movies.
Hell yeah.
Because apparently I grew up like in you're Hispanic, bro. You grew up in a machismo family.
A bit, yeah. It was
like
different.
Was it?
Well, I was raised in a uniquely religious machismo family.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I grew up like Soviet macho family, and they're like, you should never cry, because you're a man. But like, I don't think that's healthy, bro. To bottle up your feelings.
No, we're emotional beings, you know. And like in my rock bottom moment, there's a moment. Oh gosh, I'm thinking ahead. Not here in the moment. There's a moment where I was at my rock bottom and I knew that I needed help. And so first person I called was the person who I knew was going to go above and beyond, and that was my mom. And so I called her like, hey mom, I need help. And she dropped everything because moms are awesome, right?
Yeah.
I love mine, and
I love mine too, bro.
That like she went out of her way because I knew I needed to surround myself with the right things, and so. It's sometimes asking for help was the hardest thing to do, but it's that moment where you realize where you're at, and once you know where you're at, then you can grow from there.
Yeah, and if you don't have a mom, you can always ask a friend. And if you don't have a friend, surprisingly, you could call the police department, bro. They'll send someone to come and help you.
Yeah.
Not like to arrest you or anything, but they'll send someone out.
Mhm.
So there's no shame in asking for help. I think that's what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Someone else that's rock bottom. I would say. No, I'll leave it there. We just have
Good.
innate, incredibly power. We have a lot of power within us,
We do.
and a lot of power to do a lot of things in our lives. And it's not easy. Life isn't meant to be easy. But when you begin just taking that first step down whatever pathway you want to, and you do it with intent, and you do it with practice,
Mm-hmm.
and you learn from those who've done it before, you'll, I think, just be shocked by how far you can get.
Nice, dude. That's a great way to end our episode. Right on. Jose, thank you so much for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever in Salt Lake, and most of you are, go ahead and drop by a studio. The name one more time.
So it's in Sugar House.
It's in Sugar
Salt
House.
Lake City, Bikram Yoga, or Bikram Yoga SLC.
Nice. I'll
It's,
post the information.
yeah,
so
it's
they
great.
come.
Check it
Yeah.
out.
Thank you again, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Anytime.
And thanks for the $10. That was amazing.
Yeah.